Long gone are the days when the UK was one of the world's thriving economies. Right now, it's quite a shadow of itself. And we might as well say the UK is in a recession. Well, it's fairly well known that the UK's economy is crumbling. However, not many people understand what is going on with the UK and why its economy is not as strong as it used to be. There are a handful of reasons why the UK's economy is not performing at its optimum. And these reasons are a blend of low growth and low investments. Not everyone is aware the UK is in a recession, but even those who are aware are not sure what the cause of its recession is. But that's not a problem, because in this video, we will find out what some of the reasons behind the recession are. But before we continue, kindly hit the like and share buttons. Also, subscribe to this channel to see more videos like this. Folks coming from outside the UK might not know how bad life in the UK currently is. But if you have spent a couple of years in the UK, you can tell that the standard of living has reduced significantly. This might not be obvious when the standard of living in the UK is compared to what is available in other countries. Also, based on statistics, the UK is enjoying economic growth. Sadly, these statistics do not reflect what is going on with the UK's economy. The UK has experienced GDP growth, and this could be interpreted as actual growth, but that's not the case. This GDP growth is tied to migration, which has brought about an increase in population. The GDP of the UK would be higher. However, when compared to its population, it is obvious that the GDP per capita has decreased. The implication of this is that the standard of living is not what it used to be. There are several indicators of the absence of growth in the UK's economy, and among them is a very slow growth rate. This slow growth in wages is a lot different from what was obtainable in the past. Although this growth in wages is slow, there is some growth in wages, and things might not be outright bad. Though this is debatable because this recession is quite strange. In the past, recession was associated with unemployment. Strangely, that's not the case with the current recession that the UK is going through. Right now, it might seem like the recession the UK is going through is a break from the norm. However, that's not really what it is. The employment rate in the UK doesn't seem to be affecting its economy, because lots of people who are employed are currently underemployed. They are working, however, they are not earning a lot and are also not contributing so much to the UK economy. That's not all. There is a different set of people who are not employed. However, they are not classified as unemployed because they are either old or have been sick for a long time. Now it gets even more interesting. There is some level of unemployment in the UK. However, lots of companies do not have ample staff. Not everyone realizes this. However, the fact that some job opportunities are not always filled affects the economic growth of the UK. Various sectors of the UK's economy have been affected by the recession it is facing, and one of these sectors is the education sector. Of course, there are teachers to take care of students, but there is a lot more to schooling than just having teachers around. Infrastructure is needed, and this is one area in which the UK is failing its students. It might be difficult to understand how badly the economy has affected education in the UK, but one major sign of this is the collapse of school roofs in the UK. It's easy to think that schools are most affected by the collapse of school building roofs, but schools are not the only sector of the economy that is not getting ample investment. Housing is also a mess. If the collapsing of school roofs seems mind-blowing, then you have no idea what is happening in the housing sector. Folks in the UK who bought their homes about a decade ago most likely didn't feel lucky when they paid for their homes. But they were indeed lucky, as getting a house in the UK has never been more difficult than it is. Folks who want to own their own homes have to rent, But this is not as straightforward as you might believe. Rent has never been so high in the UK. Well, some folks might want to avoid paying rent, but this is not so easy either. The only option for people who do not want to rent is to buy a house. Right now, the difficulty associated with renting a house and owning one in the UK has caused a significant drop in the standard of living. The cost of rent in the UK is affecting everyone, but low-income earners are even more affected, as they have to spend a significant part of their earnings on rent. There are several reasons why the economy of the UK is in a bad state. Some of them are the drop in oil prices, the pandemic, and Brexit. However, chief among them is Brexit. You see, the idea of Brexit in itself is very questionable, but coming at a time when the UK economy has been battered by COVID is even worse. If the UK hadn't embarked on Brexit after the effects of COVID, its economy would have been bad, but somehow, perhaps, it wouldn't have been as bad as it is now. Now, everyone might not agree with this, though, but it is the reality. Before Brexit, the UK had a very weak economy, which helped it enjoy ample economic growth. Well, since Brexit became a thing, the economic growth the UK enjoyed has become a thing of the past. Companies looking to do business in the UK have had to face stricter rules. Some are not moved by these rules. However, most people who would have easily walked into the UK for business now prefer doing business in other countries. Brexit wasn't expected to be a problem, but it is one because of the inability of the UK government to invest. The funds that should have been used for investments are being used to pay debts. We do not know if Brexit has come to stay, but one thing is clear. It has made more and more people believe less in the economic prosperity of the UK. Brexit has weakened the pound, and if this was all it was, it would have been terrible. But that's not all that it did. It has also made the UK very unattractive to investors. While the UK was still in the EU, investors were willing to put some of their money into its economy. However, since it pulled out of the European Union, it doesn't seem so willing to do anything around UK markets. That's not all. UK-based firms are not performing as well as they used to. Another challenge is the UK economy to overcome institutional inequality. In the eyes of the world, the UK is doing well, but that's not what's happening. Several regions in the UK are not doing so well. Whatever economic benefits the UK seems to be enjoying is limited to London. All the investments and jobs are built around London. The reason for this is quite obvious. It is a seat of power. Unlike London, which appears to be thriving, lots of other regions are not doing as well. This would be putting it lightly. They are going through some degree of struggle. Well, the degree of struggle is dependent on the part of the UK. There have been a couple of attempts at making sure the other regions of the UK can enjoy some of the benefits that are available in London, but they haven't yielded the required results. As it stands, the only way other regions of the UK can start doing better is if the local communities get empowered and are involved in decision-making. The divide between the various regions in the UK is more prevalent in economic matters. However, it isn't limited to just the economy. There is a difference between the general standard of living in London and what is obtainable in other regions of the UK. Even something like life expectancy, which we probably believe has no link with the economy, is affected. In the middle of enormous debt, the UK government has to take care of citizens who are not actively contributing to the economy. These folks have contributed to the economy in the past, and right now, the government has to take care of them. This includes taking care of their failing health and other unspoken needs. The bad health of aging citizens in itself doesn't look like a big deal, but it is more dire than lots of people know. You see, the health of the citizens of the UK has a major effect on its economy. People dealing with long-term ailments can't add anything to the economy. They fall into the category of aging. But unlike the aging, which might not be dealing with very serious health challenges, people with long-term ailments put a lot of pressure on the UK's finances. Beyond soaking up government funds, they are also unable to take part in the workforce, and the economy suffers because of this. One major reason why the UK is in a bad place economically is a reduction in productivity growth. The UK is not the only nation experiencing this. However, the decline in economic growth is a lot more pronounced in the UK than it is in other countries. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak understands what is happening with the economy and is taking active steps to fix things. He has given his word on getting things to work well. What's important is the future of our country and people's financial security and the peace of mind that they rightly deserve. And my job, and what I am working every day to deliver, is that peace of mind that there is a brighter future ahead. But is it really up to Sunak to make things work? Andrew Sentence, a former policymaker at the Bank of England, doesn't think so. I would say that if you believe the Clinton mantra that it's the economy, stupid, which I think is quite correct for the UK, and if the opposition looks competent, then it's going to be quite a sticky wicket for the government economically next year. The public can't sack the governor of the bank, so they express their dissatisfaction with the government. One major reason why the UK is in a bad place economically is a reduction in productivity growth. The UK is not the only nation experiencing this. However, the decline in economic growth is a lot more pronounced in the UK than it is in other countries. There are quite a number of reasons for the recession in the UK. However, it's all about inflation. That's what former IMF Deputy Director Mohamed El-Erian thinks. I use STAG as shorthand for insufficient economic growth. It can be a recession, it can be zero growth. This is not about abstract numbers. It's about something that hits the poor particularly hard. Rishi Sunak and Jeremy Hunt could have acted to reduce energy bills and keep food prices under control. Instead, they've sat on their hands while inflation goes through the roof. If you look at exactly what he's saying, it's that inflation is the greatest reason for economic instability and why growth is slowing across the world. And it is the true threat that could cause a recession. Inflation is the number one enemy, and we need monetary and fiscal policy aligned to tackle inflation and prevent a recession. Rishi Sunak is relatively fresh in the office, but with the way things are going, the standard of living could affect his chances of being reeled in. The economy has performed better than expected so far in 2023. But if this means that inflation is going to be sticky and the bank still has to go further to combat inflation, the economic pain is going to be badly timed for the government. This is where we draw the curtains today. Thanks for going all the way. See you in the next video.